Welcome to this Independence Day special. As India celebrates her 77th Independence Day, what does freedom in 2023 mean for its citizens? Does it mean freedom to choose? Does it mean freedom to express? Does it mean freedom to be who you want to be? Does it mean freedom to wear what you want to wear? What does freedom mean to you? I'm putting that question to four fabulous citizens of this country from diverse sections joining us from all parts of this country. Joining me today are four very, very special people. Dr. Aqsa Shaikh is Professor, Department of Community Medicine at the Hamdard University. Tannishtha Chatterjee is an actor. Most of you recognize her. Dheerendra Tiwari is a Kathak dancer. And Pushpak Sen is a celebrity scientist. Dr. Aqsa, I want to start with you and I want to ask you what freedom means to you. How did you go from becoming Zakir Hussain to Dr. Aqsa Shaikh?
Hi Shreya, thank you for having me here. And when we speak about freedom, it basically means removing the shackles and being myself. For me, being Aqsa, being the woman that I decided to be, choosing the body that I am comfortable in, being recognized and to listen to the name that I have chosen for myself, that's Aqsa. And to be respected and loved as a woman that I always wanted since my childhood. I mean, that really is freedom for me. Freedom to be seen as finally my genuine self.
Aqsa, but India had to struggle for her freedom. Did you have to struggle for yours? It couldn't have been easy.
I think all freedoms require sacrifices, struggles, sometimes fighting, from our own. And especially when it comes to transgender people, I think the struggle is more difficult because you have to often fight your own families, the people who are most beloved to you, even leave your homes, leave your past, your name, everything, and then start a new life altogether. So it's really a kind of a rebirthing process for most trans folks, including myself.
And I asked you whether it was tough. You are saying it was a struggle, and I'm sure it was. But how did it come about? Like, when did you decide? Who did you speak to? Who gave you the confidence to fly?
So it was in my medical college, in the third year to be precise, and I was suffering from depression at that point of time, and I sought help from my mental health care professionals who, through counseling and through listening to me and my story, helped me understand myself, helped me discover my identity. And after that, I spoke to my family, who, of course, had difficulty in understanding and making sense of what I'm telling them. But then over a period of time, I think, the push or the trigger came from my mental health side. I was suicidal at one point of time. I wanted to end my life. Of course, I didn't, and that's why I'm live over here today. But that was the point, when I decided that finally I have to start living for myself. I mean, I can't be living for my family, for my society, in this unhappy self that I was back then. So I decided to live for myself, reclaiming my own identity, my pehchan, and becoming the person that I always identified myself as.
Tannishtha, for you, did that moment come in 2019 when you adopted a baby girl? Again, what is the general expectation in India as far as our society is concerned? Forget society, as far as even our families are concerned. Shadi ho, uske baad bacche honge. You decided shadi can wait. Pehle, let me adopt a baby girl. Is that a moment that set you free? And what's been your journey from 2019 to 2023?
Shadi is not necessary. And I think, 2019 was like a very defining year in my life, because I also made my first film in that year. And so I had two babies at the same time. One was my daughter and one was the film. And in a very interesting way, the film that I made, a film called Rom Rom Mein, which is actually a journey of a contemporary Renaissance woman living in India. But I shot it in Rome, and I was constantly juxtaposing all the fights that the feminist movement actually had at the genesis, in the 16th century, in Italy, in Europe, in India. So, and I discovered so many beautiful poets and artists who fought their battles, and for centuries they've actually fought their battles as women to express themselves, to own their freedom, their body, everything that Aqsa and you were also talking about. For us to actually have the choice today, that in 2019 I can make the choice and I can say that, hey, shadi is not even necessary. But as a woman, I should have the freedom to still become a mother. And so what, I don't have a biological child, I can still have a daughter and live this amazing amazing life of motherhood as well.
But does motherhood bind you or does it set you free?
No, I think the choice to be the kind of mother that I want to be sets me free, and it gives me the choice of experiencing one of the most beautiful things of being a woman. And yet it, in today's time, I don't need to be bound by other choices, right? So I am the sole guardian of my daughter, and I'm bringing her up the way that I want to. So it actually does set me free. Obviously, there are certain bindings, my life has changed from this whole free-flowing, single woman living alone, having a very different kind of a single life as an artist. But it's a commitment and a binding that I chose. So that was my freedom, that I exercised my freedom by choosing this.
Is that what freedom means to you, the freedom of choice?
Yes, absolutely. I think the personal choices that we make and the way we want to live our lives. And, hearing Aqsa, I would say that, yeah, I think my fights are really minuscule in front of hers, because I'm only fighting a certain kind of stereotyping. And fortunately, I belong to a very progressive and supportive family. So my parents were not very much against the choices that I made, whether I chose to be an actor, a director, a writer, a singer, or, a single mother. These were choices that, we discussed things, but they weren't huge oppositions from them, actually.
Dr. Aqsa, you made the choice. It set you free. Has that choice been accepted in your workplace? Because, our workplaces to some extent define us, right? We spend so much time there. Most of the people that we interact with in our daily lives, we interact at our workplace. Have your patients accepted you?
It was not a one-day process. It lasted for more than 3 years. And especially during those transition years, I didn't look like a man. I didn't look like a woman. That led to a lot of curious glances from people around me, including my patients. And I proudly say that actually led to more queues outside my OPD than other people's, because, they were more curious to come and see who this special doctor is, whether she's a woman or he's a man, and so on. So I think, sometimes curiosity is good if it leads to increase in awareness and knowledge. Yes, it was a difficult journey, I would say. Acceptance by patients, some people deciding that I don't want to see this doctor because this doctor is trans, and trans people may be mentally deranged, or, they may not be, they may be depressed or so on. They may be sick also. I keep getting that tag of being sick or a diseased person all the time. Then how can this doctor treat me? But I think that also initiates a dialogue, about is really transness or is homosexuality a sickness, and can gay people, queer people, or trans people be also doctors? So when it comes to acceptance at workplace, it was difficult, especially during those transition years. I remember I would step into a class and everyone, would start looking at it. Oh my God, what's happening to our teacher? Why is he doing what he is doing? And I would say, okay, let's talk about the topic. Let's address the elephant in the room. I would talk about my life, what I'm doing, and then I would start teaching. And I think, that gave me an opportunity to have a conversation with the future doctors about a topic that they would anyways not read in the medical textbooks. So it's been difficult, but fortunately now I'm very well accepted and even loved and respected at my workplace, and also at other places and institutes and universities where I often visit to talk about these issues.
Curiosity, I'm sure, is something, Pushpak Sen, you are familiar with as well. You don't often see men with mustaches and beards wearing a sari, but I was going through your Instagram page. You only wear the sari. What made you choose the sari?
So that's a very long question with a very big answer, and I'll try to keep it short. So in 2021, I had the opportunity to go and study in one of the best fashion schools in the world, which was in the city of Florence. It's a dream city. It's a dream course. And so basically, I have always been wearing a sari as a dhoti ever since I was 14 or 15 years old. Because back then, all I wanted to be was not boring and I wanted to stand out. And I was like, listen, you guys can be, like whatever, but you cannot beat my outfit. So that is where, like I grabbed all of my mother's saris and she would be like, what are you doing? These are, like very fine, exquisite pieces. I have not worn them in the last 7 years. I'm like, so let me wear them. If you're not wearing it, so let me wear them. Now, coming back to the story, when I was in Europe, I had taken a couple of 6 saris from my mom's wardrobe in order to wear them as dhotis, like in special occasions. Because what I have always noticed is that a lot of us, when we go to America or when we go to Europe or whichever part of the world we go to, we suddenly, like try and become an American, we try and become a British, we try and become whatever. So where I needed a point that when I'm going to Europe and I'm going to Italy, I'm going there as an Indian. And I'm not going to be an Italian, and I'm going to learn from their culture, their aesthetics, and probably teach them and have an exchange of how our culture and how our aesthetics are like. So when I went there, I saw that it was dominated by a considerable percentage of South Asian people, be it Bangladeshis, be it Pakistanis, be it Indians. And not one of them would wear our garments in any of the occasions, like whatever it is, be it your graduation ceremony, be it Christmas, be it whatever. Even in Diwali, they would celebrate Diwali, but like not wear our Indian clothes. So there I was in one of the fashion capitals of the world. And it was impossible for me not to represent one of the finest forms of artistry that we can offer to the world. So that is when I decided that if nobody is wearing a sari, I am going to wear a sari because a sari is just more than a piece of garment. Every sari has a story of its own. And I think, again, as I'm going to say, that it's one of the finest forms of fashion, artistry, craftsmanship that we can offer to the world. And the only way to say that story is by narrating it how it should be. And that is where my journey with wearing a sari as a sari became. It has got nothing to do with my gender. It has got nothing to do with my sexuality. It has got nothing to do with anything. It is just out of the sheer love and appreciation that I have for this garment and the people who make it.
So can we safely assume that a garment set you free, that a sari and the freedom and choice to wear a sari whenever you wish and wherever you wish set you free?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, I would like to say this that during the pandemic, I like to term it as the pandemic fat. That's happened to all of us. And the sari made me so confident that I could just drape it in whichever way and it would correct my figure. It would hide all the flags and portions that I was insecure of. And I looked stunning. I looked fabulous. I felt like I'm the, like the emperor of the world. And it's just this 5.5 meters of handloom weave. That's all that it took for me to be free and to embrace my freedom.
Dheerendra Tiwari, you are a Kathak dancer. You don't see too many male Kathak dancers, and you come from Agra. It's not like, you were born and brought up in Delhi or Mumbai, which would be slightly more liberal. You came from Agra. How did you manage to make the choice that you did? It couldn't have been easy. Just like it wasn't easy for Aqsa, it couldn't have been easy for you.
I think for last 3-4 years, I started realizing that I was quite rebellious then now. And at that particular point, I was dancing the kind of Bollywood songs and all. And my father was quite happy with that. Like, yeah, he's kind of an all-rounder sort of guy. And he's doing good in studies. He's doing good in dancing and all. So I used to play football also. So he was quite happy. But later, when he realized that it is going to become his passion, so from a family which is a kind of an orthodox family and conservative family, there you don't get this sort of freedom to go and tie the ghungroo and wearing kurtas and dancing and doing the makeup also, of course. So it was not their cup of tea. It was not for them to adjust with. And my father was quite sort of a Hitler person. And yeah, he never wanted me to dance at all. And he wanted me to go into the academics because my family was not that, it was a literate family, but not that quite. I'm not supposed to say like they were illiterate, but they couldn't make it in the field of academics. So they had a wish that I should make in this particular field.
Okay.
So because of their wish, I kept doing whatever they wanted to. But at some point of the time, I felt like it's the classical dance, the form that I was doing. It's a beautiful addiction to live the life for the lifetime, and that's what make me take the decision to make a choice to come to Delhi and to learn, because there was no the kind of better facilities in Agra to learn, and parents were also there to pull me back. So I thought like be a little rebellious and just leave. So I ran back to Delhi, and I started my journey here. And of course, if you think about if this is the freedom, yeah, this is the freedom for me, to make me free from the certain kind of mindset, the system, the certain kind of beliefs that I grew up with. And I always think like I cannot live within the boundaries. I try to touch the boundaries, but living with the boundaries. Like social things are very relevant to all of us. Like we cannot live without society, but society, if society is a boundary, we cannot live without society. But at the same time, we have our choice to go beyond that particular boundary and to find out our own ways. So for me, Kathak became that.
You dance to your freedom. You know, as I end this show, I want to ask all four of you what you'd say to young people in this country, because what I hear, all four of you are essentially telling me the same thing, that freedom is the freedom to choose. Dr. Aqsa, what would you tell maybe young people, I mean, people who are dealing with their sexuality or not dealing with their sexuality, what would you tell them?
I think it's important to, once you have achieved your freedom, to recognize the struggle that went in achieving that freedom, and to also realize that there are many people who may be still struggling, who may be still in the closet and not able to fight the shackles. And if any ways our stories and our voices can help them liberate themselves, can help people understand and stop discriminating, then I think our voice is important and we should be heard more. And finally, I also think that, going through this struggle should help us develop empathy and be allies to other people who may be facing their own struggles of their own different types.
You're saying young people in young India, in new India, be empathetic. Be empathetic to other people's struggles.
We have our struggles, but everyone has their struggles, and we must be kind to them for that.
Tannishtha, what is it that you tell your daughter, for example?
Well, she's too young right now to have all these. She has all the freedom to do whatever she wants, which at her age she should be allowed. But I mean, having said that, I think freedom for the new generation, I think we all have to always fight. When I was listening to Dheerendra, there are so many male Kathak dancers who are actually very famous in India, from Birju Maharaj or, Kelucharan Mahapatra, who was a very famous Odissi dancer. So there have been famous male dancers, and yet the moment you still have to break a stereotype, you have to fight, you have to struggle. Today there are a lot of my friends, it's not only me, who are like single mothers, whether they've chosen to adopt children or they have chosen to actually take a sperm donor and become a mother. But they have chosen to become single mothers without getting married. Yet, I do not think that even though there are more number of women who are doing it, it's not that difficult in metro cities to probably make those choices. But it will still be a struggle because we all are breaking stereotypes. So if the young generation thinks that, oh, there are many stereotypes which have been broken, so it's going to be easier for them, it's not going to be. Every time you break a stereotype and you want to exercise your personal freedom, you have to fight. And you have to be ready for that. But, you know, that is the choice you make. Do you want to live a life which is fulfilling and, you know, in the definition that you want to make a difference, or you just want to follow the norms of the society?
So Dr. Aqsa says, learn to be more empathetic. You're saying, learn to fight for what you think is right. Pushpak, what about you?
Honestly, I feel that to all the young people who are watching us, it's very, very important that you first learn to be kind to yourself, to learn to be courageous, because a little bit of courage and a lot of compassion takes you a long way. And it is very, very difficult to be your individual self, to be your individual best, especially in the world of social media and trends where we always feel that we are not enough, especially if you are a creator and you are an artist in whatever capacity. I always feel that way, that maybe I am not enough. But what I do feel is that I am confident about myself, what I want, what I like. And it's also very, very important to know that like it's impossible for you to like actually appreciate and like everybody and everything all around the world. It is impossible that everyone or everything will be that you do will be liked by others. So you have to have that patience and understanding, and not be entitled to only appreciation. And also it is important that you keep in mind who has the authority and the agency to insult you. The moment you take that away from somebody else, then handling trolling or handling online hate or offline hate becomes much easier. And also, again, it is very, very important that you do not owe any explanation to anybody for whatever life choices you are making. The only person that you're answerable to is yourself, and maybe to your immediate family, which is your father and mother, and nobody else deserves any explanation of what you do, as long as you are not financially, emotionally, physically, racially, any kind of harming anybody else. Then it is your life, it is you who decide to do it, and it's easier said than done. But trust me, the world definitely gets better, and you have no idea that how many people who would absolutely love your presence in their lives are waiting just to meet you.
Okay, finally, Dheerendra.
I agree with Dr. Aksa's thoughts. Like, we have to create an atmosphere for the people, and maybe it's kind of educating the people. I relate this question to myself also, the kind of experiences I have gone through. Like, I was never been able to express myself for a quite long time, but still I had a medium that is my dance. So I could express a little bit through dance, and I kept educating myself, expressing through the dance instead of word. Certainly, I was an introvert for quite a long time, so I was unable to express. But I think the freedom comes when we inspire people to express themselves through whatever the medium, through words, through writing, through dance, through whatever the medium they have. And I think that is something inspire them to come out of the conditions, like the conditionings what they are they grown up with, and the beliefs and the system and the things they are trapped in, that make them that set them free to come out through the expression. I think we should inspire the people to express themselves. That is one of the most important thing for me, because I felt a kind of freedom after expressing myself to maybe to the closer people around me, Yeah,
Okay.
maybe, yeah.
Dheerendra, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to wrap it here. Thank you very much, Tannishtha, for joining us. Pushpak, good to have you on the show. And Dr. Aqsa, thank you very much for coming all the way to the studio. Thank you. Thank you to all of you and wishing all our viewers a very, very happy Independence Day. Thanks for watching.